Welcome back to episode 3 of our GY6 Buggy build series. This is the episode where we take a 7.5 horsepower buggy and we convert it to 13 horsepower. In this episode, we're installing a Zen CVT transmission kit. This is going to keep the engine right in its sweet spot the entire time, so we're utilizing the max performance of this 172cc big bore engine. In episode 2, we installed a high torque starter, high volume oil pump, and a starter clutch. We have all these products linked down below on the website. Let's get going. Here she is. We got our variator. Remember, it comes with 10, 11, and 12 gram rollers. We're actually going to do 11 gram rollers for this cart. We could do 10 gram, but keep in mind this buggy, or it's a go-kart actually, is going to be used 12 hours a day, 7 days a week, and we don't want it to be high RPM the whole time, but normally I would do like a 10 gram on a buggy. So we got our variator loaded up. There is our really sweet lightweight variator drive face with the fan built in, and then we've got our titanium washer and titanium nut to keep it light. That'll just go up like this. All right. Moving over here, we're going to have to pull our old clutch apart. We'll install this guy. Got the titanium nut to hold that down. We've got our spring bearing spring. Sweet. And this one actually comes with the titanium gold anodized nut, and then we added the washer. And then best of all, we got the forged clutch bell. We would use Reveno, but Reveno is not made for these heavy buggies. So let's install this sucker. Oh, also we can't forget the Kevlar belt, of course. We're going to install it. I got to pull the cover off this sucker, so I'll do that. We'll get the old stuff pulled out and get this sucker installed. Oh yeah. To pull this CVT off, all we need is a 10 millimeter and an 8 millimeter and an impact gun. That makes life easy. I'm going to just loosen this. Pull the 10 millimeter out of the kickstart. Pull the kickstart off. Just like that. We'll set that aside. The reason why you have to do that is because when you pull this kickstart cover off, that unlike a QMB139 where it comes off with it, this shaft stays stationary. We can pull this little beauty cover off of there. Grab our 8. There's a bunch of bolts held on. 8 millimeters. Oh, one thing I noticed is, see how crusty that bolt is? That's actually kind of normal. Believe it or not, on these GY6 motors, they get shipped out of China. There's a lot of moisture in the air in China, and they just don't have any oil on them, so they kind of like end up that way. They're all kind of like that, so don't be alarmed. I see it all the time. Okay, if it doesn't come loose right away, we need to do the little trick where we hit it with a mallet. Oh, got a little bit of a there we go. Why do I feel like there's a bolt still in here? There is not. These things come off a lot easier normally. There we go. So again, pull this down a little bit. Sometimes that helps, sometimes it doesn't, but give this a little wiggle. You're going to end up ripping this gasket that's back here. That's for sure. I've never done it without ripping the gasket. There we go. Yep. Gasket is ripped. Thing of it is you really don't need it. It's not really holding anything in. No fluid or anything's in there. There's a breather right here that goes directly into this cover. There's a gasket really for no reason, so I'm going to go ahead and remove the gasket. We're not going to reuse the gasket at all, but most importantly, we need to get the rest of this stuff off here, which is a 17 millimeter. Let me grab one of those. Oh, be careful here. Zoom in. This guy and this washer, that's going to go back inside the cover, or you can just put it back on like that, but remember that. Very important. Okay, we got to pull the variator nut off and the clutch nut with a 17 millimeter. That wasn't on there very good. And we'll do the same thing over here. Clutch bell just slides off real easy. And then to get this off, just normally you squeeze here, but you don't have to too much because this hasn't been driven yet. Pull that sucker off, and then we've got our variator. Just squeeze like that, slide it off. You got your variator boss, rollers in there. And then we can pull the rest of our gasket off. We're not going to be using that gasket anymore. We got our dowels here. We can pull those out. I'm just going to get the rest of this gasket scraped off with a razor blade. I won't bore you guys with that, but that has to come off, and then we'll be ready to put the new stuff on. Because this is a go-kart, we're not going to use the kickstart because you can't even get to it, so unscrew that guy. This thing is held in. That I pulled the little plate off. This spring won't come loose because of that plate, but now that I have the plate like that removed, the spring can come loose. So what we need to do is be very careful and grab a screwdriver and pry this back like that too. Jesus, you gotta be careful. Okay, that's off. This should come off. Just get the little wiggle. There we go. That's off of there. And that's off of there. But you do have to keep the kickstart gear there because that's used for a spacer for the variator. So we're going to leave all that blank, and then we'll put our CVT back together. We've got our 39 millimeter socket. We have these on the website. One side's 39, the other one is 44. This is like a CVT tool. These things are, it's a lot cheaper to buy this socket than go to AutoZone and buy one socket that's only 39 millimeters. So we're using the 39 millimeter to loosen that nut, but we're going to apply pressure with our feet, because if we just loosen that nut, there's a spring under there that looks just like this, and that thing's going to go flying. You'll probably lose a tooth. So put your feet on there, put the socket on there, the gun, loosen it. I'm going to do that off camera so I don't lose my tooth. And then we'll remove that and I'll show you what it looks like. Okay, I loosened the nut. There's the nut. Clutch comes off. This is the old clutch. Let me show you the new clutch. See the pads? They're a lot bigger. This is a forged clutch, so much better. We won't need the old one. We're going to pull the spring off. We're not going to be using this collar anymore. The only thing we're using is this guy. See how it turns and goes up? Well, a spring is not designed to turn. You're going to unwind the spring. Here's our new spring right here. And here's our spring bearing. So if you notice, I'm going to put this down just like that. See there? And once I put the spring on, see how that spins real nice? Okay, so then we'll put our clutch down. Notice there is a shape there. See that shape there? So when you push it down, you have to line it up like that. See that? But you have to have the spring on underneath. So we put that on, and then we've got a new nut. This was our old nut. Our new nut is titanium. It's lightweight. So put the clutch on, push it down with my feet, tighten the nut down. Do that right now, but I also need to put red Loctite on here. So let's do that and I'll tighten it down. Super bum deal. This titanium nut that's supplied with this TFC clutch, it won't screw on there. The threads are actually different. Then you got like this one, you go perfect. So unfortunately, very unfortunate, this won't work with this pulley. So we have to use a stock one. unfortunately. So I'll go ahead and do that. Okay, there she is. There's our forged clutch bell. Sweet. So now we've got that and the variator. Let's install this sucker. Here is our ProBld variator. We've got our 11-gram rollers in there. That just slides back in. We got to put our variator boss in there. Okay. I'm holding it down like this. Slide that sucker into place, just like that. Then we've got our clutch. We got to grab our Kevlar belt. This is our 743 2030 Kevlar belt. Sometimes these are directional. This one is not. But if there is, you got to make sure that the spins this way. So you got to make sure it's correct. So I'm going to squeeze this down. It's hard to do because I normally would do this on the floor, but I'm going to try to do it right here. Pull this up. It's a pull up and turn, and then you slide your belt in. So let's try that really quick. Oh, it's just so tight. So I'm going to do that movement where I squeeze it, turn it, slide the belt in on the floor really quick. There, I got the belt inside the secondary slider. I'm going to slide this in place. The goal is to get that on, the belt in its spot, and see, once you have it like that, it's really easy. Let's scoot this up. I can squeeze this down like this, and now I've got all that play there. All right, so we can put some red Loctite on our threads. One there, one there. A little bit of grease is on there. Okay, got our titanium nut, titanium washer, and then we have our drive face. You want to make sure that there's no oil on this. I'm going to wipe that off. It's kind of greasy. Don't touch that with greasy hands. So, okay, the washer, put the nut. I'm going to crank this down, but it's important this belt is not being pinched down when you try to tighten this. So I'm going to kind of like work it. The belt is not being pinched, so. Okay, that one on with red Loctite. Now this guy, make sure your bell inside is not greasy. The outside is kind of greasy. The outside's okay, I'll clean that up anyway. And then you've got your washer, titanium washer, and the titanium nut that came with it. Crank that down. Gotta kind of hold it sometimes. Sweet. So there is our complete Zen CVT transmission kit. That's about as good as you're going to get for any transmission kit on the freaking market for a buggy. I would love to use a Reveno, but we can't do that. Okay, so now we got to just put the cover back on. Slide these dowel pins back in. There's one there, one back there. We've got our transmission cover. Real easy. Let's kind of get these started, and then we'll come back around and zap them. Those are 9 foot-pounds, by the way. Normally I just hit them with the impact and get them snug. If you're noticing, I'm only using a torque wrench when it's absolutely needed on the things that have very specific torque settings. I'll get these started. There, huh? All right, episode 3 done. We've now converted a 150cc, 7.5 horsepower hot rod into a fire-breathing 172cc. I appreciate you guys more than you know. I linked all of these products down below if you want each individual one. We can build you a complete motor, or you can buy the kit. We'll see you in the next episode.